I get obsessive about stuff like that too.
Yeah,
especially if it's like cerebral.
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
right? You know what? I blame Dan Inosanto for this, because I think if I'd have just stayed in Barbados, you know, the island's #1 Bruce Lee fan and what have you. If I'd never had the idea, you know what? I think I'll go to California.
Yeah.
Right? I got laid off, but they kind of knew that they would call me back in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this crazy, I'll just move to Seattle and hang out, you know, where Bruce Lee was. So I went to Seattle, and I think I was there for like 3 months or so, you know. And so that was my first trip to his gravesite. Right? I didn't get to train with Taki Kimura, but I did get to train with Jesse Glover's little brother.
Oh, okay.
Michael Lee.
Yeah.
Right? So that was my first experience. And then they called me back. I went back to work. So every July 20th, I would go back to Seattle, right, to pay my respects at his gravesite.
Yeah.
So in 1983, I said, you know what? You'll only get so far paying respects to the deceased source, the Jeet Kune Do. If you want to get further, the living source.
Yeah.
For me, everything pointed to Dan Inosanto.
Yeah.
So I went,
Yeah.
and it didn't bother me that on the roster it said Dan Inosanto, Kali. It didn't say Dan Inosanto, Jeet Kune Do, right? It said Dan Inosanto, Kali, and I was like, okay, it's still Dan Inosanto, right?
Yeah.
But I blame him years later, 40 years later, right? I blame him because he's the one that lit the fire for this brain. I don't think it would have happened, right, if I'd stayed in Barbados.
Yeah.
Right. So all my proclivities and like my patterns, that's the problem. Right? Patterns. Because he taught me how to recognize patterns in everything that's out there.
Sure.
You know? And to become aware of even the microscopic differences when something changes, you know, right? So it's one of the best things that ever happened for somebody who's wired like I am, but it's also one of the worst things.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about there are some people who are emotionally driven, and then there are the ones who are logically driven. I believe that everybody has degrees of both. I don't think anybody could be 100% one or the other, right? But I know for a fact that at any point, if somebody says to me, well, tell me how you're feeling, I'm going to have to think for about 15 minutes, right, to try to answer that.
Yes.
Now, if you go, well, tell me what you're thinking. Oh, I'll talk for 5 hours if it's about what I'm thinking, right? You know? Did you ever go through a phase where you were one of the biggest JKD a-holes?
Not.
You never went.
You
through
guys might have a different opinion. Let me put this on here for a second.
Because, so for example,
how do you mean a-hole?
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
All right. There was a bagel shop that I would go to for breakfast, right? Like almost every day. So you know how the regulars, right? So here's the karate guy, here's the whoever and whatever. Yeah. So back in those days, a guy would say to me, "Go, oh, so you do martial art and whatever." I'd go, "Yeah," and then he'd say, "I used to when I was younger," and I'd go, "Listen, friend, my last martial art workout was yesterday.
Yep.
My next martial art workout will be today. Right? You and your little green belt, you know, from 20 years ago, leave me alone."
Right.
I used to do that.
Okay, I've never done that, but they will hear a Ming rant. So they say, "Oh," because they'll sit back. I love a Ming rant. Because I'll go in and I'll pick out, and it'll be something I've watched. It's usually always something I've watched online, and it was one of the guys that you were arguing. It's like, you know, let me tell you this, and they're sitting back just with glee, listen to this, and it's like, and they said, "Boy, that'd be a great channel if you did that," you know. And it's like, I couldn't, because there's a part of, you know, calling people assholes and whatever else that doesn't exactly bridge borders.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make it easier.
I think ultimately it's not the right thing to do.
No.
But some
that
people
would be an asshole. Yeah. You were an asshole.
Yes. Okay.
But you did stand on some validation.
Yes.
That said, listen, this is I come from doing it.
Yeah,
breathing it, living it.
Right. I mean, you know, if somebody said, "Oh, I'm an airline pilot," and I go, "Oh, well, I flew on a plane once."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I know how to spell the word airline. I know how to spell the word pilot. So yeah. Right. So you and I are somehow simpatico. Yes. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No.
The old I do karate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
and the other word. Yeah.
Or even when people go, oh yeah, we do the sticks.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for you, doing the sticks.
Right.
I train Filipino Kali. You do the sticks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's two completely different things.
Very much.
Right? So leave me alone. I don't care. All right. It's just, I think it's the degree of passion, I think, that you have for what you do.
There's a time when you hated to talk about it.
That's true. That's true. That was the other thing, where it's like two extremes. Either you were telling people don't talk to you, right?
Yeah.
Or you refuse to talk about what you're doing because it's like, well, you're not going to understand. Remember when it was popular is not the right word, but it was common to say, it's probably easier for me to tell you what Jeet Kune Do is not than what it is.
Yeah.
Now, that's true.
Yeah.
But you're not going to survive trying to run a school if that's your attitude.
Yeah.
You know? So you have to find a way to relate to the public and what have you. So being all esoteric, right?
Yeah.
About, well, what it's not and what have you. But that comes straight out of, you know, like some of the 1980s books about Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah.
Comes straight out of that stuff, right?